Alive or dead, we will still be cussing. Beep. Rest in peace. You have been warned. Content is not suitable for all listeners. Welcome. You're listening to Bewitch Banter.
I'm Krista, and I believe that people are inherently shitty.
And I'm Amy, and I tend to believe that people are naturally good.
But ironically, I'm a super believer in the supernatural and all things spiritual.
And I'm a total skeptic.
We're best friends, and in this podcast, we're seeking to explore and understand each other's perspectives with deep dives into the spooky, the spiritual, the magical, and the mystical.
And some straight up spoofs.
Today is witching hour story time.
Cheers!
Cheers! And we'll be doing our stories on, reaching to aim.
That was hard to
That was
reach.
a little reach for us after we just ate nachos. Telling on us, everyone. We have not been healthy today. But we're covering zombie stories.
I think my story is going to be a fun one, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm going to be covering...
Clairvius.
And we'll use him. Thanks, Clairvius.
Clairvius, because I can't remember how to say it. So I definitely had to get on howtopronounce.com one more time so I can remember.
Clairvius.
Clairvius Narcisse. The legend real life zombie ?
Okay.
So Clairvius' story was the inspiration for the horror film called The Serpent and the Rainbow, which was directed by Wes Craven in 1988, my birth year, a long time ago. In 2012, Angelina Narcisse was in the downtown village of...
Angelina Jolie.
Yes.
Sorry.
She was in the...
Hey, listen, she got her kids from Haiti, didn't she?
Cambodia.
Oh.
I actually went to a Cambodia orphanage, and we brought them, like, food and stuff, and they did like, a little performance for us.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, they're so cute. I can see why Angelina Jolie got all her babies from here.
Oh.
But, yeah, so Angelina Narcisse, she was in the downtown village of Ayestar, which I didn't pull up on howtopronounce.com, so I don't know how to say it right. She was approached...
Sorry, Amy has me dying today.
They need to sponsor us, because I'm always on howtopronounce.com.
Truth.
But she was approached by a stranger, right? And the stranger comes up to her and claims to be her brother, Clairvius. And she immediately was thrown off, obviously, and very confused. Like, first, A, why the hell would someone pretend to be my brother? And she, B, vividly remembers 18 years ago her brother being lowered into the ground and being buried.
Oh, no, honey.
But this is where it gets weird. So the stranger, but she finds out soon enough, it's not so much of a stranger, was able to convince Angelina that he was her living brother. And the way he convinced her of this was by sharing information that only the two of them would know.
Oh, boy.
It's
like a hot reading, kind of.
Yeah, because...
Right?
And I bet he had to look a little... obviously, he had looked like him.
Okay.
But 20 years, you would look very different. He recalled a pet nickname she used to fondly call him and talked about things that happened in the family that no other outsider would know. At this point, Angelina is like believing it. And he also pointed to a scar on his face and told her about how he got the scar because it was from the nail that was hammered into the coffin. He explained how he remembers the night he was buried very clearly. He said he was fully conscious, but he just couldn't speak or move.
No. That's a fucking sleep paralysis right there. We're going to cover that too someday. Holy fuck. No. Stop.
But he had a literal scar, and he says from the nail in the coffin. Is that not insane?
God.
He recalled the night that he was buried that a voodoo priest resurrected him from the grave. And for anyone who didn't listen to our episode on Tuesday, I covered the Haitian beliefs regarding zombies. So if you didn't listen to it, I'll give you the quick version. So they believe voodoo priests can perform magic and basically turn someone into a zombie. And the zombie becomes like their enslaved person, and they're like the master. And they have to live a life against their will. Back to the story, Clairvius recalls that the voodoo priest whipped him, and he was taken to a sugar plantation in the north region of Haiti.
Oh my God.
There, he said that he was with other zombies, and he became the priest's slave, basically.
Jesus.
He said that when he was at the plantation, he was forced to consume some sort of unknown substance. It had like a paste-like consistency, right? And
yeah, I'll cover that in mine a little.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
some paste.
Yeah, and he said when he would consume the paste, he was in a drugged-like state. He could barely think. He couldn't remember anything. And he recalls being on the plantation, being forced to work from sunup to sundown. And no breaks, barely. I didn't find any information on the following, but from his story, he said that the zombies were able to band together and kill their master. And that was the only way he was able to flee the plantation.
Huh. And
to us, this may seem like a really outlandish story, but in Haitian culture, it's a really popular belief that zombies are a real thing, right? To that group, the story doesn't seem to be out of the realm of possibility, where some of us might be sitting at home thinking he's lying. This happened in 1980, and Clairvius wasn't actually what I thought was really interesting, he's not the only person who came forward stating that he was a zombie at one point. So he's not the only person telling a similar story.
Okay.
2 other women came forward in another village stating that something similar had happened to them. And later on in that year, a group of people came forward stating that they saw a group of zombies walking in that region in Haiti. But the reason Narcisse's story was taken maybe more seriously than the women who came forward was because his story is actually documented, which was different than the other ladies. There's no proof or anything to really get them to question it, and it received a lot of national attention at the time. His death had been recorded by doctors in a nearby hospital. Clairvius had walked into the hospital on April 30th in 1962, and at that point he was spitting up blood. He had a fever, and the doctors just couldn't figure out what was causing him to be sick, really. They were just they couldn't figure out what it was. 3 days later from this sickness, he passed away.
Okay.
And 3 different doctors signed his death certificate. So pretty official. We know he's dead, right? And this is the part that gets me. Okay, the burying alive thing, but also this. He said he was stored in the storage container where, like when you see in the movies, they pull out the storage container and you're in the...
Oh, yeah, the morgue.
Yeah, it's in the cold. He remembers being freezing to stop the body from decaying. So he remembers all this.
Oh my God, that's fear number 1. Moving that on up.
And this part is so sad to me. He said he even remembers hearing the doctors tell his sisters, one sister, his sister, that he was dead and hearing her cry.
Oh my gosh.
The story made headlines around the world. I'm going to post this on Instagram. There's a picture of him casually sitting on his tomb, his grave when he came. You know what I mean? Because he was buried.
Hell no.
And with this story receiving so much attention, this led 2 researchers to start digging into this mysterious case. So their names are Dr. Nathan Kline and Dr. Lamarque Douyon.
Yay, I mentioned them in my case, too.
When they're starting to investigate the story, right? Well, the first thing, they were well, should we open up Clairvius's grave? But they kind of were that seems like a waste of time. Because obviously, if someone is pretending to be him, obviously they would have removed the body at this point. Come on, that's the first thing they're going to do. They decided to go to Clairvius's family and ask them a list of very intimate questions. Went to Clairvius and did an interview to kind of check to see if he knew all the answers. Just is this really him? A graduate student from Harvard, Wade Davis, also traveled to Haiti to help in the mission in finding out what the hell happened to this guy. Is he the real Clairvius or what? Before Clairvius was pronounced dead, his brother and him had been fighting about land that I believe that was going to be left behind in a will.
Okay. Always leave it to financial matters.
Yes.
Sibling feuds, man.
And I think there's always we're looking for what's the motivation of why someone would do this. One popular theory is that the brother hired someone to make Clairvius into a zombie with a zombie potion. Wade Davis was able to get his hands on what was called a zombie potion made by a bokor. Bokor is a voodoo sorcerer or voodoo priest. And we talked about this on our Tuesday episode, but zombie powder can be made by a variety of ingredients. But the 3 main ones I found were ground human bones, plants with irritating hairs, which will make sense in a second, and dried puffer fish. Mm-hmm. The irritating hairs and bones are used actually to irritate someone's skin. Mm-hmm. This would cause the zombie powders on someone's skin. It causes them to scratch themselves. And that way, when they're scratching themselves, they can open up like wounds, or the puffer fish active ingredient can actually make its way into someone's bloodstream.
Oh, Jesus.
And so puffer
that makes
fish,
a lot more sense.
And I know on Tuesday's episode I couldn't pronounce, and I still can't. Don't have this pulled up on pronounce.com. Tetrodotoxin is basically a deadly poison that can be found in the skin and organs of a fish. And I believe they said 500 times more powerful than cyanide.
Jeez.
And it can block nerve transmissions and result in the same symptoms that Clairvius had the day when he arrived at the hospital. They're like, oh, it's kind of all adding up here. And it can actually make it really hard for doctors to realize that their patients still are alive.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was my question. I was like, how did the doctors miss that? If 3 signed off, like how?
Exactly.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? How do they get the zombie potion on an innocent victim without them knowing?
Right, yeah. Like, how did his brother do this? I'm assuming his brother.
So it's speculated that it can be blown into one's face. But I would think that some of it would be blown back into your face. But what I think probably makes more sense to me is that they also have a hypothesis that you can put in someone's clothing.
Oh.
So when they put the clothes on, then they're obviously your skin's touching the clothing, and that's how they get poisoned. They believe that Clairvius probably suffered some brain damage when he was buried alive, and obviously psychological trauma.
I mean,
there's no
words. I can't even imagine. I don't want to.
And this is why it may have been easier for the bokor to take him against his will to the plantation and keep him drugged while he was working there. Obviously, there's opponents of people who don't believe this. A lot of members of the science community have came forward and said that this is all one big lie, and there's no factual evidence that zombie powders do exist. So I guess it is up to you listeners and Krista to really decide, was Clairvius actually a real living zombie with other Haitian people, or do you really think it's just some outlandish story he made up? And
no, I think he really
ran off
was.
From his problems.
I really think he was probably poisoned by his brother. We're talking about motive and true crime, man. Mm-hmm. Like if there's this will and debate or money, land, there's your motive right there. Hello. And so and especially the brother knowing and believing probably in zombies did this. He probably contacted a local bokor and did this to him. Which is disgusting.
I'm usually not a believer, but this story I actually believe. I feel like, from what I gathered, I feel like, why would he lie about this?
Right.
That's because I couldn't find a motive for him to lie. Like, some people, I think one idea was that he was like trying to run away from his family and maybe some responsibilities, but I feel like he probably was poisoned, in my opinion.
I think so too. And maybe, no, fuck that. If he actually endured all that, that's insane.
18 years, though. It's like a
almost a lifetime.
Time.
Yeah, it is a lifetime for some, unfortunately.
To be away from your family and then to find your sister. Like, imagine being the sister at the downtown market. Someone approaches you and you find out your brother's been alive this whole time. Because after 18 years, you probably, I mean, I know you're always mourning the loss of someone you really love, but you probably came to peace. And then it's like this whole, like, the emotions you would have, like what? And then you're like, am I hallucinating? Is this person lying to me and playing some sick trick on me? It would take me a long time to even, like, your brain to wrap around the idea that he actually was alive, because I could see that being a mind fuck.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Like, how would you wrap your head around it?
Yeah, and so the question you really had asked, do I believe in zombies or not? I don't believe in them in the sense of, like, the Walking Deads or the, all the shit that they see in the whitewash versions. I don't believe that at all. But I do certainly believe that Haitian people have this practice, and that's their belief. So, yeah, I do believe that in that form they exist. I don't think they're out there walking around with the toilet paper around them or whatever the fuck. Oh, that's a mummy. But, I don't think so. The way that they've been quote unquote cartoonized, I don't know.
But they actually, in our episode on Tuesday, I kind of discussed it.
That it could happen. Yeah, you did.
It does happen in nature. So, they say, and scientists even have said it's not possible for it to happen to humans. So I don't even know if it is a question. I think it is reality. It's just probably not the kind of zombies we picture in the movies.
Right, about like eating flesh. And
yeah, it's not even like that. But there could be some kind of extent.
Like, but brain dead.
Being brain dead and being alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. All interesting stuff, though.
Crazy. I can't imagine.
No, the idea of being buried alive, being in that cold storage container, hearing them tell your sister you're dead, and you just have to lay there and listen to her be so sad and you can't say anything.
Oh my God.
I don't know if there's enough therapy in the world to overcome that.
No.
And I just think it'd be interesting because they really have covered his story a lot, because obviously, like I said, there's a lot of like documentation of, but I would be interested to know those like other women's stories, like, do they believe they were on the same plantation or... But I also said, like, through my research, I feel like most of the people who came forward and said they were zombies is always in Haiti, not other places. And that's because in that culture, they already readily believe in zombies.
Correct.
So when someone comes forward and says that they're a zombie, it's not that crazy or that outlandish.
Right.
Where here, like, if your neighbor said you were a zombie, you would look at them like...
Look out of here, yeah.
They were insane. Yeah, but that was my
Great
story.
job.
I thought it was a cool one. I got a lot of it from, actually, I guess Harvard has a magazine, and that's where I got a lot of my information.
Oh, yeah, I saw that in part of my research as well, and a little bit of overlap in my case with Dr. Kline and Dr. Wade and Lamunian. A little bit of Clairvius, but not wholly. But yeah, I'm going to be covering the Zombie Project.
Sweet. Can't wait to hear it.
So again, before we started recording, I just wanted to let you know there's a little bit of crossover with your guy, Clairvius Narcisse, but not fully. I did a Control F, the good old college find, and when you wanted to cheat, Control F'd it, and I'm not covering your same story, so don't panic.
Okay, good. I feel like,
nope.
Bitch, you stole my story.
No, it is, he's mentioned, but it is not about him. So today, my search to get back to, the podcast roots a little bit in trying to find a genuine person, a good person, was my challenge to myself, right, for our whole podcast. Since I believe humans are inherently shitty, I like to try to challenge myself when I can find a good person to find one to tell a story about whatever topic. And I think I found one today.
Okay, awesome. I'm ready for it.
A miracle, because I think he's maybe the first or the second, maybe.
Second what?
Like, good person I've covered.
Oh, I think Satanism might have been my only really good group.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm just kidding. Satanism, she was really badass too. So, Xena, excuse me. So, okay, he's one of the few making the good list, if you will.
Okay,
the nice
we don't
list.
have many on our list.
So I came across Dr. Nathan S. Kline.
Okay.
And so who is Dr. Kline? Well, he was an American psychiatrist living 1916 through 1983. And he's often cited among his successors in the medical and psychiatric community as a revolutionary figure for actually advancing and modernizing psychotherapy. So he actually, I give him props for being a gold star, bewitched, banter, good guy, if you will. We need to come up with a name for our good and bad guys. I'd even say he normalized a lot of mental health in the U.S. more than it had ever been before, which we know still isn't, unfortunately. It's getting there, but it's still not. In his early career, Kline served as a physician at a VA in Lyons, New York. He then served as the director at Worcester State Hospital in Worcester, Massachusetts. I can't even do the Mass accent anymore.
Pocket card corner. Give me a schmear, brother.
Oh, Boston.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying.
Well, doesn't it come from the English? I don't know. some dialect of England somewhere. But anyway, so he also worked, Dr. Kline, at Rockland State Hospital in Orangeburg, New York. And finally, he served at the research center of that hospital from 1975 until his death. So he's there researching a lot of shit and doing really good work in mental health. His research focus was on the biochemical, and this is a little scientific, y'all, biochemical and endocrinological bases.
Oh, I know exactly what that is.
Right? Me too. Let's go.
I studied that in college.
I think so. So it's biochemics and then your endocrine system.
Okay.
Is what I'm getting. And he used those two things together to study and research the different components of mental illness that revolutionized psychology. And a few examples are using tranquilizers for antidepressant drugs for patients who were previously considered untreatable.
So like to knock people out?
I don't know necessarily about that, but yes, there was some really bad practices, as we know, in that. But a lot of his research around the world was more focused on new science for us, but naturally occurring cures and treatments. So he was more of a naturopath at heart.
Okay, very cool.
Than he was.
I can get behind that.
To use big drugs,
yeah.
Right? Not to say that he didn't endorse any of those, but his core was to search for cures within nature.
Okay, very cool.
And in this case today, my story, he travels the world, well, one of his predecessors does, in the hunt for the next big drug in psychiatric healing. And it took him to Haiti. This was after he was contacted by a Haitian-born Canadian psychiatrist. Lamarque Douyon directed the Port-au-Prince Kline Center in Haiti. And this was because he wanted to get help after studying the, help me out. Clairvius Narcisse story, which you just covered so beautifully. And at this center in Haiti, Dr. Lamarque Douyon had recorded all reports of zombies that they ever had reported since 1961. So this center was like...
all the people that came forward and they said they had the experience of becoming a zombie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or know of a family member experience with.
Gotcha.
A proven zombie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so given this opportunity and access to remote parts of Haiti, Dr. Kline then commissioned what was then called the Zombie Project.
Oh, okay, nice.
And this studied the origins of zombies. It was a 2-year project, from 1982 to 1984. Again, its goal was to study the origin of zombies. And the main scientific question was, at the heart of mental health studies and research. So this is a little quote. Is zombification as a practice achieved through the bokor's voodoo ritual or through the powerful effects of certain drugs? Again, you covered this. Bokor or Kaplata is a voodoo witch for a hire who is said to have practiced black magic and aids in the creation of zombies and talismans or any type of spiritual connection. So the way that I interpreted the Zombie Project was that it was Dr. Kline's attempt to improve the field of anesthesiology and the medical use of anesthesia. So if they could find out how Haitians are quote-unquote zombified, maybe they could also figure out some breakthroughs in medicines and drugs needed for critical surgeries.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And so his search may be a bit self-serving for him to elevate, his stature as a physician. But here's why I like Dr. Kline for being a good guy. For Bewitch Banter's cast of characters, he feels in the good versus evil that we often discuss here. He is quoted as saying, "The first problem is to know when the dead are truly dead," end quote. And to me, that's inherently human, right? So instead of just assuming someone's a zombie and putting rocks on them, as you discussed, you make sure they're actually dead.
Yeah.
I think that made him, inherently human. I know we covered the death penalty a ton last week, and we're both super conflicted on that shit.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the main consensus I walked away from that episode is we both don't really have opinions.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I still struggle with it, but hell, even the heartbeat bill, I just, to me, it's just laughable that humans think we have any remote control or any say at all in this wild thing called life that we think, hell no, we don't have shit control, please. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. So we have Dr. Kline and we have Lamarque Douyon trying to research this work and anesthesia, medical uses of anesthetics by studying maybe some of these zombie potions. And so Kline's, again, main motive was to study these Haitian zombie rituals. Lamarque Douyon wanted to actually prove that zombies existed. So they had a little bit of different goals. Regardless, they were able to work together on this zombie project to study it.
So the guy who invited him in is the one who wanted to prove zombies were real.
Yep, and he openly believed in them.
Okay.
Lamarque. So again, either way, both doctors agreed that the next step was to find the formula or the poison or potions that actually turns a human into a zombie. And by the time Dr. Kline launched the zombie project in 1982, he was a little too old to travel that far for field work. So instead, he sent ethnobotanist and anthropologist Dr. Wade Davis on the expedition.
Oh, he's my story too.
Yeah, he was a really cool dude from the video I watched. So Davis is on this expedition to discover what causes Haitian zombies. And it was Kline's goal for Davis to gather samples of these drugs used in zombie ceremonies, to analyze them and figure out how they worked in the body and on the mind. So as part of his 8-week research project in Haiti, Dr. Davis had the very rare opportunity to observe and participate in secret voodoo ceremonies. Again, as I just discussed last week or on Tuesday, huge honor for any white person to be privileged any whatsoever way in any of these Afro-Caribbean religions.
Well, did they know of the work he was doing and that's why they invited him in?
That's a great question. I'm going to assume probably with like the leaders, probably did. But like through that work, he had some pretty powerful viewpoints. In this video, I did watch a talk from Dr. Davis he was giving to, I think, Stanford students. I'll have to correct that. I don't know if it's Stanford or not, but college students. He was giving this like TED Talk too about his experience down there. And it said the exact same shit I did in my voodoo history, which I was actually really proud of myself. I was like, fuck yeah, go me. But essentially that after the whole sugar plant uprising and revolt, that's where we see a real hard turn into turning any of the African-based religions into bad or black magic. And
I think I talked about that.
Yeah, and yes, you did too. And he just was on the same page, but it turned voodoo bad, unfortunately, even though it's really just about ancestor worship, as we know. So he had the same viewpoints as I did, but I was just really glad to see that like a scholar like said exactly what I did. I was like, yes, I got this.
Oh, I'm smart.
I'm a smart bitch. Thanks. It's Professor Hins. Thank you.
Are you trying to flex?
Flexing my brain. Okay, so Dr. Davis brought back 8 samples of his zombie powder, quote unquote, from 4 different regions of Haiti. From these, Davis and Kline determined that the ingredients were not exactly the same, as you said, like different family ingredients.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that 7 of the 8 samples had 4 of the ingredients in common. So 1, which was 1 or more species of pufferfish, which you covered. 2, a marine toad, or Bufo marinus.
I'm assuming it's a poisonous toad, right?
Yeah, exactly. 3, a hyla tree frog.
That's poisonous too?
And so again, all of the above, going back to our research for being here and reason, all the first 3, so the pufferfish, the toad, and the hyla frog, all have a numbing, pain-killing effect. Unfortunately, some are so toxic they can be potentially deadly, but they still, going back to the anesthesia, have that pain-killing, trait. And then number 4, was part of the rituals, but, I'm squeamish, so it'll bother me. But anyway, human remains.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, so that's, hey, listen.
Someone's snaggletooth is in there.
Oh, ouch, you better watch
What is a snaggletooth, actually?
It's like when...
one tooth is a little higher than the other?
That or like protruding over the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just remember that from Mean Girls.
I can't help but have a wide set vagina and a heavy flow.
It's like the best movie.
Oh, Tina Fey's genius. So essentially, Davis concluded that Haitians believed in the power of the bokor to capture one's soul, again, zombie quote-unquote victims, as part of their soul connected to an individual. But while they use the potion or the drug in the process, it's really the magic that they believe in rather than that the drugs create the zombies. So there's a little bit of the difference there where, like, he went down there to find this potion that we could use in medical operating rooms, you know, but it's not that they believe that this potion is the cure or the creation of zombies rather, but that Haitians believe it's doing that soul work and the magic that creates the zombies. Not a surprise. But,
yeah.
As you covered, the pufferfish poison tetrodotoxycycline.
Yeah, it sounded great.
Yeah,
that really rolled off the tongue.
The pufferfish poison. Davis became especially fascinated with that. He became so fascinated with it because it causes a drop in temperature in the blood and blood pressure, paralysis, coma, and possibly even death, as you discussed. And its pain-killing effects are 160,000 times stronger than Coke.
Like cocaine or Coca-Cola?
Oh, sorry, cocaine.
Oh, okay. I was like, which Coke are we talking about here?
Which I had a big-ass Coke yesterday from McDonald's. Oops.
Was it good? Did it hit the spot?
It really did. Sometimes you just crave a little sugar.
160,000 times stronger?
Yeah.
That's insane.
So obviously deadly. You know, it's one thing to not feel and be numb, but like to the point where you're that dead. So
yeah, wow.
Consequently, obviously, this prevents. They're using the word victims here, which I don't necessarily like, but victims, people that are being zombified, it prevents them from reacting to stimuli. So, again, similar to Clairvius's experiences, you know, that he described before becoming a zombie. So even other doctors had documented cases of people who ingested the I'm going to try this. I'm going to do it. Tetrodotoxin. Like a dachshund. Dachshund. Tetrodotoxin. There. Ding. Nailed it. And
did you?
Landed it. Stuck the landing and appeared dead. But later, they make a complete recovery, even though they look dead.
Yeah.
However, if the powder is too potent, it actually can kill them and prevent zombification.
Yeah, yeah.
So, from all his research, Davis theorized that the tetrodotoxin drug is actually able to pass into the bloodstream, again, and paralyze the victim. It's usually applied as a powder, topical powder, and it provides a passageway for the drug by causing irritation and breaks in the skin. Then, after the victim is buried, the bokor is able to remove the body from the grave. So again, by that time, the powder wears off, the victim wakes up from the grave and believes himself to be a zombie. So from Dr. Davis's research, there were 2 books. The Serpent and the Rainbow, as you covered, and The Passage of Darkness from Clairvius's case. And then, The Serpent and the Rainbow in 1985 referenced Clairvius's case. And then he also wrote The Passage of Darkness, The Ethnobiology of the Haitian Zombie in 1988. And this ties back to the story at hand because it presented a pharmacological use case for zombies. That I've totally read.
Yeah.
Totally. So while his theory was very convincing, there were some problems in that research in that second book that led to a great deal of criticism, unfortunately, from colleagues that claimed that his methods were unscientific and that I think they thought based on his experiences so close working with the Haitian people and zombies that he ignored evidence that would be contrary to the use of the powder.
Okay.
For, you know, because he was so close to it, if you will. And so, unfortunately, that shit was kind of dismissed by the medical community. I'm
not surprised.
Yeah, no, not at all. But many scientists claim that there was no or little tetrodotoxin in the samples of the zombie powder that Davis collected, and they accused him of, again, withholding information because it didn't support his claims that it did help.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, I thought he was a really cool-ass dude in the video I watched, and I'll post that too for everybody. Just, I don't know, getting to know a culture like that with, I thought, like I said, good roots based on Dr. Kline's urging to help better mental health. I mean, we're all still battling that shit to this day.
Yeah, I think everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, great job.
Yeah,
and you did a good job finding a positive light.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so that concludes the Zombie Project, Dr. Kline and Dr. Wade.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, leave us a review. I know I sound like a broken record.
Keep going, girl. Rate, review, subscribe, please, and always, and thank you. And you want to tell us more if you have experiences.
Do you believe in zombies?
Do you believe in zombies? Do you have a go pack? Where do you put it? What do you do? Let me know. I need to know. And can I join your plan?
Yeah, what is your plan? And next week, we're going to be right on theme for Valentine's Day, and we'll be doing love stories. And Krista, you're covering what? Like soulmates, I'm assuming?
Yep, the history of soulmates. And since I'm a single lady using all the dating apps, I decided to cover eHarmony.
Oh, nice. Mine is batshit crazy things people do for love. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. Well, I think
some of them are whack.
I mean,
so be
you're looking
prepared.
at one of them. Shit, we had that discussion all damn night. But,
yeah.
Woo!
Anyway, that is a wrap for tonight. And peace be witches.
Peace.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on Instagram or bewitchbanter.com. Suggestions for the show? Email us at bewitchbanter@gmail.com. Credits, music Phantom Fun by Jonathan Boyle from premiumbeat.com. Podcast edited and produced by Krista Hins and Amy Holt. As always, if you enjoyed, please rate, review, and subscribe.